Aubameyang and Lacazette, they're ill. Where are they? And now we hear they're doubtful for the clash against Chelsea on Sunday. We have to take that at face value, of course, don't we?
Well, I know in a world where apparently you have to show your medical passes to be able to do anything in this day and age, if someone's ill, they're ill.
Yeah.
Right? You know, we don't need to have a analysis of exactly what they're ill with. They're ill. Now, if we're trying to put some conspiracy theories together, they've had a turn and they don't want to play for the club and all this is going on, that will come out in the rounds if that is indeed the case. But the idea that we start to scrutinise Arteta, look, I'm not giving Arsenal a pass because it's a really poor result, but anybody going to Brentford on the first game of the season and their first time in the Premier League or in the Elite League for 74 years at a new stadium with full of fans that haven't been inside the stadium for the best part of 18 months is going to provide a difficult environment. The fact that they wilted under it and they played very poorly at certain times is not almost by the by, but is part of the discussion. But Arteta isn't going to be taken out of commission because of the first game of the season. If you felt that Arteta was the wrong person, you've had 18 months to look at this. You've had a pre-season to look at it. You've bought players or buying players as a result of him being in situ. And of course, if you're buying sensible players, it should supersede the manager because another manager coming in should think these were sensible signings that he probably would have made if he was in place. And then if you start linking people like Antonio Conte to Arsenal, can you imagine Antonio Conte being in Arsenal? I mean, the guy is a very good manager, but he's a nightmare to work with. He doesn't like anything unless he gets exactly what he wants. And there's a case to be said that they should get what they want, but there has to be within reason at the end of it. You can't have exactly what you want. It's not your money. You don't run the football club. You do have to work within a framework. Yeah. Everybody does. And Antonio Conte doesn't believe that's applicable to him. And more power to his elbow if he can get away with it. But can you imagine him going into Arsenal with Silent Stan over here?
Oh, yeah.
Edu. And what was going to happen? You'll have chaos in there. If you think Arsenal's in disrepair now, imagine what it will be in when you've got personalities like this in place. Unless, of course, Silent Stan and the Arsenal board are going to sit there and go, we've presided over a decline 3 years ago on this show, I think I said, in 2 years' time, there's a possibility Arsenal won't even be in Europe. Right? And you can
That's right.
And
That's
they're not
right.
in Europe. Right?
Yeah.
And they're now beginning to lose money, and there's no way that Conte will like that because it's been a bit of a cash cow. Not that he needs the money with the Walmart family and his own backing and his own position behind it. Not that he needs extra money, but he is a person that has sports franchises that wash their own face. And Arsenal was an arm's length subsidiary of an American business with the Colorado Rapids and the LA Clippers and whatever else he owns. And this is now a problem because Arsenal are A, losing money, and B, not being very successful, and they're not looking like a project with Arteta. I discussed it the last couple of months or so about the theory and the practice and the fact that theoretically he sounds and looks and feels like a really good manager, but you don't do anything on paper. You do it in practice, and it's beginning to look like he's becoming unwound by the fact that he looks like a really good manager, but when it comes to the business end of it, which is delivery on the pitch, he seems to be some way off.
I mean, we're not saying it's a full-blown crisis, but certainly it's a major cause for concern amongst Arsenal supporters. And it begs the question, how big thinking are Arsenal at the moment at the top of the house? Should Conte be on their radar if this Mikel Arteta project, if you like, the situation continues to falter? Because it's stuttering, isn't it? It's stuttering.
Well, it's stuttering insofar.
And also, Simon, before I forget, some Arsenal fans are telling us this morning for Aubameyang and Lacazette, read Mesut Ozil. Now,
I think hold on.
Maybe a bit previous to come in with that.
That's a legacy that was given to them by someone else. I mean, you're visiting the sons of a father on a visiting the sins of a father on a pseudo son that no one could have inherited and dealt anything better with. Quite frankly, Arteta marginalised Mesut Ozil braver than anybody else did and said, that's enough of you. And jettisoned him from the squad. So everyone else danced around the issue with Mesut Ozil. He actually took it on full pelt and said, you're not a player for me. I don't fancy you in a culture of this football club. So at least he made a definite decision. Now, for me, Arteta, doesn't know whether he's Arthur or Martha. Bends and breezes, hasn't got enough courage of his convictions, but also doesn't have enough leaders in that dressing room and enough character on that pitch. But 18 months in, 1, 2, 3, 4 transfer windows having passed, or certainly 3, you've got to suggest that he has had enough time to build an environment that somehow looks like him. Now, if this looks like him, then it's lightweight, it's more of Arsenal that we've seen for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's a continued erosion. And the period of time that they had with Unai Emery begins to look far better than it was at the time.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like that there isn't enough substance to him.
And do you believe this managerial project that we're all led to believe that is very important to Arsenal and to Arteta? A managerial project. Surely the bottom line is win games.
Every manager, every management task is a project. You take on a project which is building a football team. And the question is, how long do you allow that project to run for before you decide that it's either a success or a failure? The success will take care of itself. Now, 18 months into a job, he's won an FA Cup. And you can say Tottenham have won nothing, other clubs have won nothing, and suggest that but football doesn't live in the past. It does when it suits itself, but not when a different agenda is in play. And now you're looking at Arsenal saying, first game of the season, it completes what ultimately wasn't a bad end of the season to Arsenal. There's arguments to be said that Arsenal weren't as bad as we think they were towards the back end of last year. Yeah. But coming into this season, it will of course start the thinking that you lose to Brentford. I think, quite frankly, anyone that went to Brentford on the first game of the season might have had a little bit of a difficult time.
Yeah, but after Brentford, good luck at Chelsea and then City.
Well, again, like we said yesterday with Danny Murphy, these games kind of take care of themselves because there isn't an expectation or a demand or a nailed-on perspective that Arsenal will get something out of these games. And if they put up credible performances and get something out of it, all of a sudden this crisis will dissipate.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.